Good afternoon, Jesuit. I'm Clark Durham, Editor-in-Chief on the Roundup, and today I have the opportunity to sit down with Basil Seif. Basil was elected last month student body president. Basil is a junior, class of 2013, and will begin serving his term next year. So, Basil, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Clark. I appreciate it.
Okay, absolutely. Now, Basil, you came into office in a landslide victory over your opponents, Matt Mazzini and Patrick Campbell. Do you think that that is a nod to your experience or to the message that you have? What do you think that communicates from the voter?
Yeah, I think the main thing there was definitely my edge and experience. Both Jeff and I's edges and experience, because both of us have served on student council. Jeff's actually served longer than I have. I've served for 2 years. He served for 3 prior to this. But yeah, I think that definitely is it. Matt Mazzini was definitely a great, he was actually sophomore representative last year. Did a really good job. I had the pleasure of working with him. And he ran a very solid, very respectable campaign, him and Campbell. I think it just comes down to that, yeah, he wasn't as, I guess, experienced, and he didn't get to see the trials and errors and also the successes of two separate but great former student body presidents. So.
Okay, you mentioned the successes of the people that, of the other student councils. What successes in particular do you look to build on?
Well, I think one thing that has been a very big plus lately, that in the past two student bodies, student councils, I'm sorry, were the freshman mixer. Freshman mixer was a very big sore point prior to Charlie Rice's student council, and Mr. Ursing actually came to student council and said, look, freshman mixer is awful, we really need to fix this up. So we really did a great job. I know from our freshman mixer, class of 2013's freshman mixer, to the class of 2014 and 2015, it was a huge increase. That's one thing I want to build on and just keep up. One thing though that has been, two things actually that have been pretty bad, just my experience, and not because of the failures of Tim or Charlie, just because it's such a difficult thing to hone in on, is public relations, and that's having that relationship with the student body of Jesuit, and also is the student council relationship between Ursuline Student Council and Jesuit Student Council. And those two are probably two of the most difficult challenges that we're going to face this year, but they're also probably two of the most important things that we have to have as a student council. And we have Will Wood, senior class president, working in public relations. He's our public relations, head of public relations. And we also are trying to form stronger ties with Ursuline. I personally know quite a few of the girls on the Ursuline Student Council. They haven't had their student body elections yet, but when they do, I'm really looking forward to getting to work with whoever wins the presidency over there, and it should be good. I'm looking forward to that too.
Okay, what specific activities do you see arising out of this Ursuline Jesuit Student Council communications?
Actually, one of the things that I've already talked to a few Ursuline Student Council members about, I haven't really voiced it to my own council very much yet. We haven't had a meeting since we're just after spring break, the week after spring break. But one of the biggest things was having a joint student council barbecue maybe, or something of the sort, before the first football game of the year. We also talked about having stuff like this just within Jesuit. We talked about that in our last student council meeting. I had the guys come up with some different ideas, and one of the big weaknesses that they noted was school spirit. We're one of the only schools that doesn't have any pep rallies or anything like that, and I think that's something that can definitely, there's only, we can't go anywhere but up in that department, just school spirit. But also, not only does that increase school spirit, because football is such an integral part to the athletics of Jesuit and the school spirit of Jesuit, but also it creates a closer bond with Ursuline. And it also sets the precedent for a lot of incoming sophomores who might not know as much about student council, and a lot of incoming freshmen. A lot of the things, one of the first interactions that Jesuit and Ursuline kids have as freshmen is that first Jesuit football game. And to see that the student councils are working together, that's going to set a very strong precedent for the freshman class, I think, and that's something obviously that you want to build on, so that when they are seniors or juniors or even sophomores, they see that and they almost think, well, it's a given that Ursuline and Jesuit have a close relationship, which hasn't necessarily been the case in the past. Regarding student council, we have had our difficulties, to say the least, so it's definitely something to improve, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, you mentioned school spirit. Two of the most visible roles of student council are organizing homecoming and prom. Based on your past experience with homecoming, I know you haven't had your first prom yet, but based on past experience with homecoming, what will your council be doing? What sort of preview can you give us? Because it comes so early next year, what sort of preview can you give us? What plans are in the works right now, or at least in your mind?
Homecoming is sort of a set thing. I've kind of talked to some, well, first of all, I've talked to, as student council president, I like to sort of take pride in my ability to communicate with my fellow classmates, because I am nothing but a representative of the Jesuit student body. So I kind of talked to a lot of the guys, especially in the upper class, about the last homecoming. Heard some varying remarks, heard a few things about the DJ, about the venue, a lot of things that we can improve on. Talked to the faculty so far. Me and Mr. Hamley have been working very closely together. Talked about the venue specifically. We've kind of tried to maybe possibly even change the venue. I know Mr. Ursing, Mr. Garrison, and Mr. Knies all really like the Info Mart, which is where we have it. Where we've had it for the past, as long as I've been on student council. We had it there last year. And it seems like it's going to be a little bit difficult, just because they feel that it has a lot of flexibility, the Info Mart. They feel very comfortable with the Info Mart. I've heard a lot of things about changing venues. That's a very, that's a possibility until otherwise. But yeah, so far, that's, usually we don't work on homecoming until probably, and closer to the end of this year, beginning of next year. We have started a little bit on freshman mixer. We have Jimmy Buckley and Tom Heber, joint junior class presidents, working on it. Tom actually was the head of the underclassmen homecoming last year. Did a really good job with it. Another thing is, we're also, what we like to do, we did this last year, we're giving the underclassmen their say in, we're giving the freshmen, now they're the sophomore president, vice president, representative. They sort of, their first item of business as student council members, full-term student council members, is to plan the underclassmen homecoming. Last year we did it with Matt Mazzini, Tom Heber, and Connor Uber. They did an outstanding job. This year we have Zan Turpner, Jimmy Ackles, and Garrett Amy. I think all three of them are very responsible young Jesuit builders, and I think they're going to do a really good job. We had it in the Terry Center last year. It was a really good success. Usually we have them at Ursula in the past few years. And we're going to, from what I hear so far, we're going to have it at Jesuit again. Should be really good. It was really good last year. I heard great things about it. So it should be a really great thing. And then prom, so far, like you said, Clark, I've sort of been kind of figuring out what prom's all about this year. I'm on the prom committee with the junior class representatives from Ursuline and the senior class representatives from Jesuit. And I kind of joined on just to kind of get some experience Jeff and I have. It's been interesting. Tim has done an outstanding job running things with prom. That's his last item of business. And I think it's really important that I kind of experience that. I'm obviously going to be going to my first one the last week of April, so it should be fun. The theme is Greece. So if any of you viewers back home did not know it is Greece, we're very excited. Prom 2012, no regrets. But yeah, honestly, we haven't really looked forward to prom in 2013 yet. There have been a few little possibilities of maybe having a Cowboy Stadium, possibly venue. That's kind of gone in the air a few times. I know Tim tried to do it last year, did not pan out as he had hoped because it was a blackout date. But anything's possible with Seif 2012, 2013. So keep your ears on the horizon, Jay.